All right. Good evening. Cool. Everything should be working. So we're live. Okay. Quick one over here. We are actually doing live stream at various platform concurrently. Okay. So of course, primarily we'll be on Zoom. Okay, and of course, today's session over here is sponsored together with Everything Trading. Okay, so some of you guys are on Zoom, and of course over here we are also streaming it directly in onto YouTube, okay, as well as trading.live. Okay, so basically you guys will be seeing the same thing, but for questions, the priority will go towards Zoom as well as a little bit on the YouTube side of things. Okay, so for those of you who are first time joining in, our structure over here is I'll spend a little bit of time to go through the things that you need to take note of for the week. Okay, so we'll look at the events calendar. I think that's what you're seeing now on the screen. And then after that, I'll jump over to the charts to share with you the technical analysis based on Elliott Wave, some of the opportunities to take note of, and then we'll kind of wrap up this session. Okay, with a little bit of a Q&A. So if you have any questions, we'll be able to answer those. Okay, first thing, so let's take a look at the events calendar. Tomorrow we do have a little bit of the various PMIs from Euro and the UK side of things, and then of course the US. I don't think the PMI data is going to be the most important of all right now. So unlikely there's going to be a huge market movement, okay, or surprises from this data over here. Okay, so basically tomorrow nothing much. Wednesday we do have the RBNZ. Okay, so again, an expected of 0.25% hike over here. I don't personally trade a lot of New Zealand. Okay, but if you do, just be very careful of this because New Zealand itself liquidity is usually lower, and with such a huge impact news coming in, you might maybe experience some kind of a slippage as well. Okay, so if you're trading in New Zealand, just take note of it. And then on Thursday midnight, we do have the FOMC meeting minutes. I doubt it's gonna be like the most important aspect of things. This is just basically meeting minutes, right? Not really the conference of such. So not much of a things over there. We have a little bit of prelim GP and things like that. Again, I don't think those are major mover. Okay. And end of the week on Friday, we have the core PC price index. Over here we're expecting 0.3 versus last month data at 0.3 as well. Do keep a little bit on this, right? Because I think if there's a huge major deviation on this, we may see some movement in the US side of things. Okay, so I think this week here, if you're trading New Zealand, take note of it. If not, then I think the next important data that you might want to take note of is the US core PCE price index. Okay, so relatively, I think it's a fairly quiet week from a economic point of view. Okay, so with that, whoops, sorry. Okay, I think that drawing comes from Zoom side. See how I can remove. Okay. Can someone help to remove that drawing? Okay. Okay, I think that comes from a participant. Okay. Okay, anyway, let's get back to the charts. Okay, so over here, let's take a look at the dollar index first. Now, from an Elliott Wave point of view, right now what I'm seeing is, especially with last week dollar move, right? This one here we experienced last week. Right now I'm actually looking at it with a primary forecast where we're seeing a 1, 2, 3, 4. 怎么？我在上课嘞。 So we're expecting a wave 4 and then a wave 5 up over here. Okay, so for this week, okay, if we can get a little bit of a push up followed by a push back down, looking likely towards maybe Thursday or even Friday, if we can get a corrective move here, then that will give us a very nice three wave structure to complete wave 4, and then we can expect a wave 5 up. Okay, so going into this week, into next week, likely we may see a little bit more on the dollar strength of things. And from Elliott Wave point of view, the area where wave 4 would likely complete is somewhere around 103 to 102.60. And as long as price is able to be above, trading above 102.2, which is previous wave 1, the entire structure will remain intact for now, and we're looking at a 5-wave structure. Okay. So if the dollar is looking for more strength, then of course some of this major here will be pretty neat, like euro, dollar, pound dollar, and Aussie. We'll be primarily looking at sell. I think we're starting to get a little bit back in the correlation side of things. Prior to this, we don't really have a very nice correlation that's kind of experiencing for the past 1 or 2 weeks, right? But I think right now the market correlation is getting back in. So euro dollar over here, we're expecting a little bit of a pullback before looking for a sell. The market did move down pretty impulsively. Okay. Personally, I wouldn't suggest to be selling here. Okay, I would be more conservative, and would suggest that you may want to wait out a little bit and see if we can get back towards maybe around that 50% mark. We do have a little bit of a previous support area as well around there. And more importantly, this needs to go corrective in a 3-wave structure, and if we can get that somewhere around 1.0925, that will be a decent sell opportunity for the euro. Okay, pound dollar over here as well. Okay, primarily we're looking at somewhere between the 1.2535 and 1.2570. Again, this may be a wave 1 leading diagonal, and then a 3-wave pushback up, wave 2, and then we can expect another drop. Alternative is that this can be a wave A. Okay, same thing, potential leading diagonal. This can be a wave B, and we're still expecting at least one more drop to complete a simple 3-wave structure, right? So whether this is going to be a 3-wave move down or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we can get a corrective pullback towards that 50 and 618, that would be a decent sell anyway. Okay, now even if this is not the leading diagonal from this top, we can potentially still turn this into a wave 1 and then a expanding flat kind of structure, but either way we're still bearish on this. Okay, so keep an eye on pound dollar. As long as price maintain below that high, I think the downside has a higher possibility of happening. Okay, so keep a lookout for potential sell trade opportunity. Aussie dollar over here quite similar to the pound in terms of the structure that's developing, but the context is slightly different, right? The context on Aussie is we're basically still in a big wave corrective channel structure, but if you look at the internal, it's pretty similar. Impulse, a little bit of a crawl here, so this may be a leading diagonal or potentially one, and then this is an expanding flat, but overall it's quite similar to pound. Okay, so essentially we're still looking for that sell opportunity, right? So this one here, wait for a pullback towards maybe 6, 7, 10, as well as 6, 7, 3, 5, right? That's the area that we're gonna look for a sell down. Cool. So in terms of the top 3 majors of euro dollar, pound dollar, and Aussie dollar, for me personally, I'm focusing a little bit more on pound and Aussie, right? I think if I were to pick one, definitely it's going to be the pound, and then followed by Aussie. Euro here, I'll be a little bit more conservative. Okay, I'll give it a bit more time to develop first. Right, so those are the core majors. Dollar CAD, I would suggest to just remain neutral. We do have a slight bias where this can drop a little bit more back down. But overall, I'm still very neutral to this because this structure again can develop into many forms. It can be a simple 1, 2, 3 and then a breakout can happen. A triangle can develop here as well, and then this would potentially also break up. Alternative over here, of course, you can see what we've drawn. this can develop into something like this and then the drop, right? So I'll give it more time. Okay, so because as of now we don't really have a very clear structure as to whether we're looking at buy or sell. So I'm just neutral with a slight bias to the downside because of the channel structure. Okay, but I wouldn't suggest to be focused to paying too much attention to this, right? Instead, you focus on some of the pairs which give you a high probability trade setups, right? So that's on the dollar CAD. And then we have the dollar yen, right? So dollar yen over here is quite similar to the dollar index. In a way, last week we did get a very strong little push up. Okay, so right now, from an Elliott Wave point of view, internally we're expecting a 1, 2, 3. Same thing here. If a wave 4 develop, we can look for a fifth wave up, short-term buy. And this is quite in line with the bigger structure here as well, with a W, X, and a Y, right? Kind of like completing the bigger structure before maybe the move back down. Okay, so dollar yen over here is something that I'm looking out for as well. Okay, this morning we're waiting for this little push up. I think we're getting that. So what we're waiting next here is quite simple. If you can get a corrective pullback towards 236 and 382 area, that would definitely give us a completed 1, 2, 3 wave 4 structure and then look for a buy opportunity. Okay, so this area will come around 137.6 and 136.85. Somewhere around there would be a buy opportunity with a target at 140.3. Okay, 140.30, right? So that's quite neat. So dollar yen, definitely pay attention to that. XAU USD. Okay, so XAU USD last week, this came down very nicely. Kind of completed the expectation of a 3-wave move, and then we have a bounce, right? So right now, with this 3-wave completed and we get a little bit of a bounce around that 1950, we're expecting a 3-wave move, right? Whether it's going to get to this high, again, not necessary. Maybe it'll face some resistance here, but we're basically expecting a simple 3-wave correction. If you can get that, then we'll expect more downside. Go over here if you're very interested in trading it short term. I think on the hourly may give you a short term buy. Okay, so this has already started to come down a little bit. So what you can look out for, of course, is a very simple kind of structure, right? A little bit of a dip. You can wait for a breakout of this little trend line over here. So that would give you a nice little impulse correction and then another push up. Again, does not necessarily need to come out to the high. You may want to be conservative and just look out for some potential resistance around 2000, which is also a psychological number. Okay, so a short-term buy, and then you just need to take profit and be careful of it. Okay, so if you're short-term, you can look out for that. If not, just be patient and neutral and wait for the market to go up and see how it goes, how it develops first, right? So that's my take. Crude oil, it's potentially developing into a very nice 3-wave structure over here, so you can see. Okay, an impulse 1, 2, 3, somewhere around there will be a good opportunity to look for buy. Okay, so if you're trading crude oil, I think this week may be something very interesting to keep an eye on. Area here is around 69 to 67.9, 67.95 or even 68. That would be the area to look for a potential buy back towards somewhere around $79. Okay, I don't really trade crude oil, but some of you do, so this is the analysis for you. Then we have the S&P. So S&P kind of broke this high last week. Some traders are calling a potential fake breakout where they're looking at maybe a reversal back down. For me, I would just stay neutral to maybe a little bit on the upside bias. This little break here, you can see RSI, we don't really have a divergence, right? We did have that strong momentum breaking up, right? So to me, I don't think it's likely going to turn into a fake break. But of course, every time an impulse move, you can see over here, we have potentially completed a 3-wave as well. Do expect a deeper pullback before a continuation. So that's the reason why I'm neutral. I would like to give it a little bit more time and see if we can get a deeper pullback before getting involved in any buy, right? But overall, I think there's a high possibility of upside potential on the index. Okay, so equities market potentially more upside. Last one here to touch on is BTC. Very neat little flag here. You can see. I think this is on the 1 hour. Very clear. Okay, so you get an impulse push. If I were to label this, that would be a simple three-wave structure. Okay, this may continue to come down a little bit more, of course. You know, like this, right? So nothing is perfect in the market, right? Can we put it here? Yes. Technically it's a three wave completed. Can it come down a little bit more first? Yes as well, right? So the idea here is definitely the direction I'm interested in is bullish. You can get involved waiting for the pullback, or you can get involved if the market break off this structure for a breakout trade. Okay, so if you're into crypto and BTC, I think this would be a decent opportunity upside. Okay, if you're into Ethereum, that is also pretty similar in terms of the structure, right? So impulse correction, look for the breakout, right? Yeah, so I hope that's clear, right? So those are some of the key ones that I'm personally looking out for. I'm seeing some of you are asking various instrument, right? So let's jump into the Q&A part. If you have any questions, drop it into the chat. And of course, if you have any particular instruments that you'd like me to share, you can also drop it into the chat. Okay. Good. So LW asks about Aussie New Zealand. If you ask me right now, Aussie Kiwi probably wouldn't be the best and the clearest. I think in terms of daily, okay, we may see something like that. Okay, so let me just put in some labels so you can have some reference point of what I'm looking as well. Okay, so what we might see in terms of a development over here is probably something like that, right? So internally is a three wave potentially coming back down here, and then this is a bigger 1 2 3. Okay, what can also play out, of course, is this can just comes down towards this bottom, which is pretty much there, and then this bounce back up to give you that 1 2 3 as well as a flat. So then you get a bigger three wave that looks something like that, right? But in any case, I think short term there's still some room to drop. That's what we are observing on the daily time frame. Okay, so in terms of H4, the drop is not the cleanest of all because we get a lot of V as it's dropping, right? So quite a difficult one to catch. But of course, the daily bias is to the downside. So if you can get any corrective pullback here, then the overall bias would still be looking for a sell. Okay, this is still the momentum move. That's the impulse. You don't sell here, you don't buy here, but you wait. If you get a correction, of course, there's a little bit more downside that you can capitalize on. Right, so that's on Aussie Kiwi, right? So the downside is going to be somewhere around 1.0430. Okay. Yeah, if you're looking at short term buy, I would personally suggest that's a little bit too aggressive to get in now. So you may even want to go maybe short term 1 hour, see if you can get a flag that looks like this first, right? Then only you get involved in the buy. I mean, you get a bit of a divergence building up, okay, but that's not sufficient to just jump into a buy, right? You want at least some kind of a structure to support a buy setup. Okay, so that's on the Aussie Kiwi. Okay, so I see another one from John. Okay, so John is asking about US 30. So Dow Jones, right? So I'll just take one of this. Okay, I think Dow Jones here, the structure may look slightly different from S&P, right? So the perspective of Dow Jones is probably something like that, the internal three wave, and then potentially this can be a bigger three wave down. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is maybe short term a little bit more, but once you come back towards this structure, you want to be careful. You have this, top of the structure and then this bottom channel potentially forming. So short term buy, but if you can't break through this impulsively, you may open up the possibility where this can drop first before the long-term move back up. Okay, the reason is because wave tends to move in trees, so we're expecting 1 2 3 1 2 3 and then up, right? So yeah, that's the view on US 30, right? Dow Jones short-term upside, but once it tags around the area around 33,900, so 33,900 area, just be careful on that. I mean, by then you probably would have taken some profits, you know. Okay, so that's on US 30. Okay, James here is asking, what do I think about PayPal and 3M? Huge drop in the last week, right? So take a very quick look on that. Okay, yeah, so this analysis previously done needs to be updated. Okay, see, okay, it's in a log chart. Okay, purely from a technical point of view, this is on a daily, very zoom out, so likely is even more like a weekly scale. Okay, we do have this weekly divergence. Okay, so my suggestion is don't sell. Okay, don't sell, but it's not a buy trade. Okay, again, this is a potential reversal pattern, but you want to always wait for some sign of confirmation, right? Because this is already on a weekly. Okay, you probably wouldn't be trading on this time frame. So if you go down to maybe back to the 4-hour, my suggestion is wait for a bounce, wait for a correction, then look at it for a potential buy. Okay, I mean, PayPal is I did not really look into the fundamentals of it, but I think PayPal is a pretty strong company. Okay, just by rough looking at this, I think, you know, you can see the surprise of the earnings and the revenue are generally to the upside. So fundamentally, this company may be quite strong. You may need to dig a little bit deeper into it. But technical wise, my suggestion is wait for the bounce up, wait for correction, then that can be a good buy. Okay, and of course, if you're looking at it from a long-term view, if it's a solid company, I think this will be a good opportunity to look for long-term opportunity too. At least from a investment point of view, right? This can be a wave 1, this can be a wave 2, and then upside. Okay, so that's on PayPal. Okay, 3M over here. Weekly perspective. Okay, probably not the best right now. Yeah. Okay, I would suggest for 3M, you probably wouldn't want to touch it for now. There's no clear structure. Okay. Yeah, it's not the best. I mean, it's falling. Okay. So there's no reason to be buying. I don't think that selling into 3M may be a good idea. I know 3M personally as a worthy investable company. I mean, it's not like a super solid company, but it's investable, right? So long term, there's still that upside. If you're looking at investment opportunity for long term, you may not want to get in now, right? You don't need to get in at the very bottom. Again, if you want to time it a little bit, I always say, you know, wait for the clear setup to get involved, right? Wait for the market to show you that yes, it wants to go up by giving you that impulse move to the upside, followed by correction. That will be a setup to get involved in it. Okay. Mainly 3M, why I'm saying that this is a investable company is because it pays off dividend and it has been growing its dividend quite consistently, right? So if you're looking at the dividend play, this company is still pretty solid. All right. Cool. Okay. Yeah, some companies that you guys are mentioning, you know, like ABBV, it's definitely a very solid dividend company. If you're not in, I would strongly suggest you can start your dividend portfolio with this particular company, right? I'm invested in this for dividends and long term as well. I think technical wise, this is on 4 hour, right? Yeah, technical wise, we do have this completed three wave structure here as well. We did get a bounce on the 4 hour. Okay, so pretty neat. Again, if you're looking to get involved from a technical point of view, you can wait for correction, and then that would be a good buy, right? For me, I'm invested in this for a long run, so no leverage. Just buy up the stocks, okay, and just hold on to it, right? I mean, solid stocks in the long run is always gonna go up, okay? It's always gonna go up, and the idea over here is you're not looking at just capital gains. You're more towards building the dividends itself, okay? And ABBV have a strong and consistent history of paying dividend, okay? So there's no worries of it as of now, okay? Yeah, so FH over here say looks like it's bottoming, potentially, right? Potentially bottoming. I mean, even if it goes down a little bit more, I'm not worried about it, to be honest, okay? Even if this comes down a little bit more, from a dividend investing point of view, this is like discount, okay? Better price point to even buy more stocks, buy more shares of it, okay? Good. Yeah. um Good. So Mary here asking about Netflix. So quite few of you are interested in stock markets, yeah. um okay, Netflix currently is hitting a little bit of a top over here. Okay, if you're not in Netflix yet, of course you don't want to buy into this. Two ways to look at it. One is if this does a pullback correctively, you can consider a breakout trade. Okay. Alternatively, if today we get a momentum of a break, wait for a pullback, that would again be a decent one. Okay. In any case, wait for the correction to happen because this completed that tree. We are facing a little bit of resistance. There's no reason to be buying here. There's no reason to even sell it there. Okay, so just be patient, wait for the pullback. If you get that, that's your buy cue. Okay, yeah, so that's quite straightforward. But Netflix is not an investable company, right? So just look at it mainly from a trading point of view. Okay, yeah. Um, okay, some other quick companies. ALB. Yeah, from a technical point of view, quite straightforward. Again, you get that impulse, wait for the pullback. Okay, you can get in. We do have that double bottom here as well. I think this is also a strong dividend company, ALB. Yeah, so quite consistent, right? And raising dividends as well. So another company definitely to consider in terms of dividend investing. Okay. Um. Okay, this one here, PANW. Probably not. Okay, probably not really bottoming. This kind of structure, you probably want to give it a bit more time because from Elliott Wave point of view, we're always looking at three waves. So if this is the first wave up, this may come back down a little bit more. Of course, this can develop into something like this, before that move up, right? So this one you probably need to be a little bit more patient. Cool. Okay. Okay, couple of last few questions I will cover over here from YouTube side of things, right? So Moose is asking about Japan Index, which is Nikkei. Okay, which is Nikkei. Can we say that is developing a crawl? No, definitely not, right? I mean, this is definitely not a crawl. This is a momentum push up, right? A crawl shouldn't be so small, right? A crawl needs to be quite a obvious one. Okay, so this is not a crawl, right? So this is still a momentum push. We consider this entire piece as an impulse by itself. Okay, so Nikkei, don't sell it. Nikkei is basically breaking all-time high, right? So there's no reason to be selling on Nikkei. Okay, I mean Nikkei is strengthening because the yen has been weakening, right? So Nikkei and the yen has quite a nice correlation as well. Okay. Hang Seng over here. sorry, let me just go back to the CFD side of things, right? Hang Seng has been consolidating for the past 1 or 2 weeks, so probably neutral right now. I don't think you want to be, really catching too much of this. This may just develop into a regular flat structure. Yeah, so just be patient. I think you're probably just gonna experience a little bit more consolidation over there. This is China shares A50. We kind of came bottom, bounced it off, so maybe short term here we may see a little bit more upside. But as long as price is not able to break out of this channel, I think we're still gonna maintain within this range. Okay, so short term, if you're interested, I think A50 here may have a better opportunity for you to take a trade up, where Hong Kong index you just want to be a little bit careful. I mean, both are quite similar. If you can get a correction here, you can look for a buy. But again, you'll be trading within the range until it breaks out. Okay, so short-term trades on either of this. Okay, it's not going to be a long-term move. Okay, Jay here is also asking about Ripple, XRP. Oh, sorry, that's the market cap. Yep, this one. Having a bullish pattern right now. Okay, I think you're probably referring to this one here. Yeah, I wouldn't be trading Ripple by itself because in terms of crypto, right, you want to always pick the more liquid cryptocurrencies to trade, right? To me, if I would just give you the list, right, to me, what you see on the right, those are the top 10. Ripple is not one of it. Okay, the reason is because if it's not liquid enough, you can see that the candlestick is a little bit awkward for you to analyze because of spikes here and there. That's really because of the liquidity, right? It's a small market by itself, liquidity is low, so a huge order block that comes in for the market will basically push price, and you wouldn't want to be trading in that kind of environment, right? So yeah, but having said that, of course, if you're aware of all these things and you're still willing to take that trade, of course it's fine, right? It's not like you can't. It's just personally I wouldn't do that, right? So if you're looking at Ripple, I think one major point of view is if we can break out of this. Of course, you're looking at this as a pattern, right? So same thing here. If you break out of this and it also breaks out of this trend line, you may look for upside all the way back to the previous high, about like 0.58. Okay, so that's of course the upside opportunity that you can keep an eye on. Okay. Cool. Okay, so one of you is asking about NASDAQ, Euro, Yen, and FTSE. Sorry, NASDAQ will just look at QQQ, yeah. Okay, good. So NASDAQ over here, if I have to update this analysis, we kind of got that breakout to the upside, right? So just update from here. This is definitely an impulse move. Okay. So one of the strategy that I use for the stock market is portfolio rotation. So recently we also rotated into QQQ as a form of investment. Okay. So if you're not in, then what you can do is potentially maybe wait for a little bit of a corrective pullback. Now I use the 50 and 618, it doesn't mean it needs to go there. But if you can get a tiny bit of a correction over here, I think that would be a decent opportunity, right? We kind of broke off this high, so it opens up, if you have a correction, it opens up more upside and potentially maybe retesting the next high. Okay, so the direction on NASDAQ, okay, QQQ is definitely upside. Okay, it's definitely upside. Okay, Euro Yen would likely be very much similar to most of the yens. You might want to just ignore a little bit on the, I mean, head and shoulder is still valid, right? This is on the forward chart. Yeah, I mean this is still potentially valid. But of course you don't want to just sell it now, right? I mean on the forward chart, this may turn into a crawl, right? So for those of you interested in the crawl, this may turn into a crawl because you can see the size of it relative to this is relatively more obvious. Okay. My point of view is if you want to sell euro yen, a safer way to look at it is to wait for the breakout. Okay, because selling at the top may not be very wise. Okay, so you may want to wait for the breakout, and then your sell entry somewhere around there. Okay, or if you go down to a lower time frame, so basically impulse correction. Okay, on the H1, then you can look to sell this. Okay, so that's the general view. Okay, there's no reason to be buying now. Because after this move, if you want to buy, at least wait for correction, then only buy, right? So the idea is, you don't want to be buying at the top. There's no reason to be selling at the top as well. Okay, so you don't want to just jump in at the extreme. You always wait for sign that the market is indeed starting to go in your direction before you get involved in it. Okay, so that's my view. That's my view on euro yen. Okay. Yeah, so on the H1, wait for an impulse drop, a correction here, then that would be a sell trade. Okay. FTSE. Okay. Okay, FTSE here looks quite a little bit in terms of the, I mean, quite close to US 30, as well as a little bit on like the feel of Hong Kong and A50. So we're kind of getting this structure right now, right? So this structure is actually bearish. Okay, so short term, we may continue to see a little bit more upside. If you can get the price to reject somewhere around there, that will be a decent sell, right? So this year, potentially market may come back and retest the bottom, okay, before maybe the bigger move back up. So FTSE short term maybe a little bit more upside, and then mid term here we may see downside on it. Okay, so you can see that, right? So likely this structure here drop one more time and then move back up. Cool. Okay, last one here from Mary, Nvidia. Okay, AI stocks, right? Yeah, so you can see this is basically pushing up because of the AI trend recently. It's also one of the stocks that I've been riding on momentum. Okay, so not much to really mention over here. If you have a trade running to the upside, we may take partial profits again around that recent high at $333. If you're not in the trade, my suggestion is again, don't jump in after, let me zoom in. Don't jump in after an impulse. Always wait for a decent correction before you buy in again. But again, if you're buying here, you need to take note of this high because of the previous peak. You may want to take partial profits here because there may be some reaction. If this is able to break through and then does a correction at the top, of course, that will be all-time high. Yeah, that will be all-time high, right? So Nvidia here, we are riding on momentum. Okay, as part of our stock strategy, we use one of the strategy we use is momentum trades. Yeah, so I mean we have been riding this for some time, took like 2 times partial profits. So if this hits this high, we'll probably take another partial profits and we'll leave like 25% of the position, just keep running without a final TP or target, right? So if this just keeps going off because of AI trend, just ride it as far as we're gonna go. Good. Okay, so generally that's all. Great to see that you guys have quite a bit of different questions coming in, right? A good mix of indices, currencies as well as the US equities. Good. Okay. Yeah, so before we kind of wrap up this session, just very quick one. Okay, let me just quickly pull up the link. Okay, very quick one is I want to just share with you if you're based in Penang. Okay, if you're based in Penang, there is this event upcoming. Sorry, let me just take that off. Okay. If you're based in Penang, this upcoming Sunday, 28th of May, there's this event happening at Gurney Hotel. Okay, so it's gonna be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Obviously, it's not gonna be just me. I'll be sharing about 40 minutes. Okay, so my topic is going to be a little bit on the introduction to Elliott Wave, and of course you are also being able to hear other speakers during the event. So just a quick shout out, if you are in Penang, you would like to join us. Okay, feel free to register for this, and we'll see you guys then as well. Okay. um yeah, so that's just a quick one. Okay, and in terms for everything trading client and Zenfinix client. Again, if you're based in Penang, we're also arranging a casual meetup, probably going to be on Saturday or even Monday, this coming Saturday or this coming Monday. Do keep in touch with your with them, right? So I mean, you have contacts, either from Jim, Ben, or Dylan. Okay, they'll probably update you, okay, in terms of like specifically when we're gonna have it and the venue itself. Okay, so if you're based in Penang and you're available, okay, then do join us in this trip itself. Okay, so that's all from me for today. All the best, and we'll see you guys then. Okay, bye bye.